I think many of you are asking what I'm doing on this stage, having a life sentence or 7 years ahead of me. But it's because of people like Isadora, people like you, that actually make me wake up every day to do what I do, knowing that I'm not alone in this. So for that, I continue to risk my life, to stand up and speak the truth, because no one is going to speak it if we all hide our heads in the sand. And I'm not the only one who has to live with the threat of spending the rest of my life in prison, or for even risking arrest upon arrival back in my country for speaking today. We are so many in Africa that are going through this, and not only in Africa, but the world over. As you can see the map, 38 countries in Africa criminalize homosexuality. 5 of them have the death penalty. In my country 4 years ago, a death penalty was being proposed by the members of the parliament. And these members of parliament actually began fighting amongst each other, because some of them wanted death penalty by hanging, and others wanted death penalty by firing squad. But why is it that the issue of homosexuality has become a big deal in Africa? This is because mostly of their religious and cultural influence. Before the colonialists came to Africa, no one really cared about homosexuality. Before the missionaries brought the Bible that is being used to condemn sexual minorities today, people really did not mind about sexual minorities. Actually, they were very respected. In my country, in Uganda, my great-grandfather, the king of Uganda, was a known homosexual, and he was respected. Today, they are using my culture to condemn me and many more others. It's not only culture or religion that is actually being used to condemn us. The media is also playing a big role in inciting violence, in bringing a lot of trouble to my LGBT community. As you can see, some media houses are calling for the hanging of the LGBT community. People are being exposed in the media. People are losing their jobs. Children at school are being bullied because their parents have been exposed in the media. People are actually being killed because of being exposed in the media. And to that, I want to tell you a story. Last year on Easter, there was a protest 10 meters away from the grave of my colleague who was murdered after appearing on the front page where it says, "Hang them." We went to court and won the case against the tabloid 2 weeks after he was murdered. And on Easter celebrations, where you're supposed to be celebrating the love that Christ died for, anti-gay protests were taking place 100 meters away from his grave, trying to torment his family. Just last weekend during the Easter celebrations, one of the religious leaders called for a genocide in broad daylight in church to my community. He has called on a big campaign for people to wipe away all homosexuals in one of the districts. So I want to tell you that this is not actually only happening in Uganda, it's also happening in other parts. In Nigeria, a tougher law was proposed. In my neighboring country, in Kenya, they are also proposing a tougher law. In Ethiopia, they are also proposing a tougher law. In Russia, we've seen tougher laws. But who are these people promoting these tougher laws? These are American evangelicals, fundamentalists, who are moving around the world preaching the propaganda of anti-gayism. Protests around the country where we've seen leaders, not only religious leaders, not only the Muslims, not only the Catholics or Protestants or born again, but even politicians. Last month, on the 31st of March, over 10,000 people led a protest in celebration of the president passing the anti-gay law, and the chief worker was the president himself. This is real state-sponsored homophobia. A whole president could spend 5 hours just to preach hate to his nation, and no one came out to protest against it. And if I stood up, I would have been in jail. Do you know why I'm here today? It's because I've confined myself under house arrest. I've had to shift houses. I spent last weekend the Easter holidays where I'm supposed to be with family. Instead, I was house hunting because I was evicted last week. And tomorrow, my housemates actually shifting my property because I'm not there, but the landlord said he needed his house. I told him, why? What have I done? He couldn't give me a reason. All he said, he needed his house. But before even I could move out, he has already put the house out for rent. I told him I needed an eviction letter, and he refused because he knows I'll sue him. As I speak, a court case is taking place right now in Uganda, where one of my colleagues was arrested, and he spent 2 weeks in a maximum prison for simply having a same-sex relationship. Last week I was in court because I'm suing the government. The government has shrunk the civil society spaces. All our workshops are being closed down. Even our entertainment is being closed down. Even our prides are being closed down. We are having lots of detentions. We are having lots of arrests. We have a lot of suicide taking place. A 17-year-old just killed himself on Holy Thursday because he's really fed up of the discrimination and harassment. We've seen landlords evicting people from their houses. We've seen issues of where people are being beaten, people are being raped in the guise to cure them of being lesbians. We've seen cases where gay men are being forced to go for anal tests to prove that they are having homosexual sex. We've seen cases where gay men are forced to go for HIV testing. So these issues are really happening. But what are we doing about it? We are not giving up. We know it's going to be a long journey to freedom. We know it's going to take some lives along the way. We know many are going to leave the country, which they have already done. But we are saying, if we give up, then we will not have achieved what made us stand out in the first place. I remember why I stood out. It's because I openly lived gay without knowing it was even a crime or a big deal to openly live as a lesbian. But I kept being expelled from schools. I kept being suspended from schools until I said, what is the big deal about me writing love letters to fellow girls? How come others are writing love letters to the opposite sex? Then until university, I saw it was becoming too much. I decided to really read about homosexuality. This is when I find out that actually it's illegal. This is here, a university student at 19, and I didn't even know that my loving a fellow woman is a crime. I never looked back. I changed courses after university. I'm an accountant by my degree, but there and then I said I need to change courses. I enrolled to understand issues of law in my country so that I could understand and interpret the Constitution and the Penal Code. I enrolled in human rights advocacy to see how I can make a change. And this is when, after understanding that, I decided to form my organization, which is 11 years old. I said, we need to stand out. Many people were afraid, most of my friends, because we used to meet in the bar and talk about women, talk about cigarettes, drink, play pool. But every time we went out, people would attack us because they had talked about us in the media, that there's a group of homosexuals in such a place. So many people got raped, many people were beaten. And then I said, we need to make a change. And everyone said, no, we cannot. Kasha, we are not like you. You've been expelled from school after school after school, but your parents have not given up. But for us, we are homeless. We are school dropouts. And now if you expose us in the media, I said, no, I'm not going to expose you in the media. All I need is your support. When I go out there to speak and I'm being harassed, shouted at, I want you to be there when I come back crying. And they agreed. And that was the beginning of my organization. Just after we had formed, a lesbian committed suicide in the government school because they told all students to write all suspected lesbians in the school, and her name came up on everyone's note. She was called at a school assembly. She was beaten. She felt humiliated. Her parents were there, and then she went to the school dormitory and committed suicide. The whole country was celebrating. The media was playing songs that they've gotten rid of a homosexual. And that I said, now we need to get out of the undercover and go out and tell the nation and tell other lesbians and gay people, you have a place to come to. And that is the time the country got to know that we are really there. But what are we doing even today after passing of the anti-gay bill? We have petitioned already in court, and we're just waiting for the hearing date, because we are saying the anti-gay law is against our constitution. We have also taken the American evangelicals who came to Uganda with their propaganda. We have also sued them in Massachusetts, and the hearing date is also going to be set because the judge has cleared that this is a case against humanity. And so we are suing the American evangelicals because we want them to stop going around the world preaching their hatred. We have also decided to take over the media. The media has exposed us with all sorts of lies. It has told how we are recruiting children, how we are promoting homosexuality, how we are actually paying people to become gay. And we've said, okay, we are now going to take over the media. We are telling our side of the story. You want to expose us? You don't need to anymore. We are here, and people have written their stories. People have supported the anti-gay law without even knowing that this gay law is not only about homosexuals. This anti-gay law is about civil society. It's all organizations that are human rights, that are fighting for sexual and reproductive health rights, have been marked. 40 organizations that are working with us, where we formed the Civil Society Coalition Against Human Rights and Constitutional Law. They have all been blacklisted by the government, and one of them was closed 3 weeks ago by the government, trying to tell them that everyone in civil society, this is time for you to stand up. This is not an issue of LGBT. This is an issue for all of us. What else are we doing? We are also trying to support our colleagues. We have 30 colleagues who have escaped to Kenya who are in the camps. We are saying, what can we do for them? Because it has become difficult in Uganda, and it has also become difficult in the camps because Uganda is not going through war. So everyone in the camps is wondering, what are these Ugandans doing in the camps? They must be running away from the anti-gay law, so they must be gay. And now they are attacked. They've spent 2 weeks in jail, and the last 5 were released on Good Friday. We've seen cases where our members have run to Rwanda, of all countries, that is also having issues with DRC Congo, but that is the only way they can run away from all that is going on. We've seen cases in my neighborhood, 5 people were arrested on one weekend. At midnight, police came and banged down their doors, and they were watching a movie, Sex and the City, by the way, and then they were arrested. They said they were watching pornography because they were watching Sex and the City. So we've seen these cases happening. It shows that even our police do not watch movies, because if you can say Sex and the City is promoting homosexuality. We've also seen issues where actually the police is now extorting and blackmailing the LGBT community. They come and arrest you. They tell you, if you don't pay us, we are going to actually put you in jail and expose you on media. And every time they arrest someone suspected, they portray them, parade them in front of the media because they want to shame them. But we are also saying, if we give up now, what will happen to the future? We remind ourselves of why we started this movement in the first place. So every time I wake up and know that I'm not alone doing this, every time I wake up and know that we have support from around the world, I know you're all very busy people, but you made time to come and listen to all of us today. That shows that you care, and that shows that together we can actually achieve and make a better place. And we are also saying, do not stop, support us, stay with us, love us, and that we all together can make a better place in this world. Thank you.
I knew this.